So drywall finish was just left there here for the day, getting paper and everything down, which is awesome that they're putting the paper and everything down. The last crew didn't want to do it. They're going to charge me extra $130 or something per roll. So they're getting things set up, doing the first coat on some areas. One thing we clearly screwed up on was we didn't get our screws in all the way in a lot of areas. So I've been going around and tightening a lot of them back up. Good example, so here's one there. When they went over it, you can tell that the mud that popped up, the mud went around it. So what they've asked me to do is to go around with a putty knife and basically go across all my screws. See if I can find one that's sticking out here. And if you feel it catch or feel a bump, I've already done these rooms. I gotta find a place I haven't done it yet. I'm gonna go upstairs. I haven't done anything up there. I'm pretty much done with the downstairs now. It's Friday. They'll be back on Monday. But look at how they got everything papered. Good to go. So like that. So let's see here. This one I can see. Hear that? So clear that one sticking out. So I've got to go around. Most of these are pretty good. And see if I can get all these screwed in. So it's just us going fast, trying to get things done. Actually, most of these look pretty darn good. So it may not be as big of a task as I was thinking of downstairs there. I found quite a few downstairs so far. So we'll see what it's like up here. But I'll be back on Monday and get knocking this thing out. So it's good to see some progress. It almost looks like things are getting finished now. This return air plenum here, which goes down. This would be the above the stairs below. Sorry, Barry's working down the room below me. And I boxed this in for the return air for this unit. And I was going to plan one down there on that one as well, but through talking to my HVAC guy who's done some of these conditioned attic spaces, he says basically just leave these open. You put a return air grill anywhere you want, and it will just suck air up, and then you put your filters in here. So here's a view from below. So right above there is the two units. And I originally planned to have a vent here and a vent here, return air. I'm really glad we're doing it this way, because now that'd be very obvious. You'd definitely see that. But now I can put vents out over in the corners, you know, wherever I need one at. Be a lot less noticeable. And then, for example, in the girls' room, you know, I've got a vent there, got one there, so I could put a return air over on this wall, or I could actually put it over on this wall, and now air would be sucked down and move across the room into their return air on that side. Or ideally, I would drill into the top plate and run it down, put my return air grill down here, and that's going to force some of that air to get sucked down low into the room. There will be a ceiling fan in here, so typically what you do is you have the ceiling fan on to circulate the air around, so it's not that big of a deal, but I got options now versus being stuck with, I was going to have the 2 vents there, and then in the master, I was planning on having a vent probably right there, and I was going to move that smoke detector alarm somewhere else because my supply vents are on this side, and so now air comes in, it'll get sucked across the room and then out the vent, but now I can put a vent just pretty much anywhere I want. This makes it very convenient. Are we talking about?
Drywall.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Tell you about it.
Tell me all about it.
We are so glad that we hired Bill. The finishing, yes? These guys are so nice. They're so professional. They're so clean. They started sanding, and I figured that with the sanding that I would not be here, the kids would not be here, and I was just imagining copious amounts of dust and piles of dust, because that's how it's been when we've done it, right, honey?
Mm-hmm.
But there's not. It's just, it's amazing, and they're doing a wonderful job.
Keep in mind, both these guys are in their 70s.
Yes.
And they've been doing this, getting up on scaffolding and ladders, and
They know what they're doing. They do. They're pros.
so they've been doing it both for, I think they said 40 years, each of them. And I've asked them several times why they don't have like other workers or grunt guys or things like that. And they've basically had these same problems that everyone's having, is you cannot find skilled labor. And they go to hire people and they quit, or they don't show up, or they screw things up, or it's just, it sucks. We're approaching week 3, I think.
I think we're on week 3.
We're on week 3?
Yeah, we're in week 3.
So I've been talking a lot to them because I'm curious on the process, because I suck at it. And they've been telling me quite a bit. So what they do is they first come through and they prep, they put like a pre-mud in all the major holes, cracks, butter joints or butt joints, corners, things like that. And they let that sit for, I think they were gone for a day and then they came back. And, you know, I realize that they'll leave for a day and then they'll be gone somewhere else. And a lot of times contractors will go do other jobs. And drywall is the one thing that you know that if your guy's going to leave for a day, that's actually a good thing. Because they'll be gone and it lets lets everything harden and dry. So the mud takes about, I think they said it was 50 or 60 days to fully cure. So just like concrete, it doesn't reach its full hardness for about 2-3 months down the road, or 2 months down the road. So they described how a lot of the current people are going through and just slapping up spec homes and knocking out the drywall, is that they go in on day one and they do everything. They'll basically mud it, tape it, do a real thin coat of everything. The next day they'll come in and they'll knock the sand down. They'll have, you know, fans going, things like that. They'll do a quick sanding on it. The next day they'll texture and they'll be gone. So we're talking about 3 days, 3 or 4 days, and they're in and out of the whole house. So the problem with that is that it may look good when they first do it, but as it cures and everything shrinks and moves, that 30, 60 days down the road, everything starts to crack. Your seams start cracking. You know, you start seeing where your tape is, and you know, I can see the tape right here. And they'll come through this one more. This is a butter joint. But anyways, they're saying that they're just slapping these up and knocking them out really fast, but there's no real skill to it, and that everything is cracking on people down the road. That's one of the reasons why we hire these guys, is we know that they are very skilled. We've used them before. They've always given us a really good product in the end. So, granted, it is taking them a little bit longer. When we first started this process, Natalie asked me how long I thought the drywall would take. I said, well, it'll probably take them, you know, a week to hang it and probably 2 weeks to finish it. So I was figuring, you know, 3 to 4 weeks tops. These guys are starting week 3 on the finishing. So I would anticipate that they will finish up, because they're really close to the point where they're going to go ahead and do their final coat, and then they'll do their final sand. They got some cool tools too. But anyway, so I expect them to be done probably in that week 4 time frame. So total process with them is probably going to be close to a month. Now with the other guy that we had hired, who lied to us, you know, he said that the crew guys the hangers would be in and out in 3 days. He said 2 to 3 days. And then he would immediately start the mudding and taping after that, and he'd be out of here in maximum of 2 weeks. Well, after we got rid of his hangers because they were causing us problems, he came back and had a discussion and said, well, he couldn't get anyone else out here for 4 weeks after that. And then he wouldn't be able to start mudding or taping till after that. And asked him, so we were going to be out here in a couple of days. And he said, oh, no, I'm 4 weeks out. So again, there's a lot of lying going on for him to try and get our job. So total time frame wise, even if we stuck with the other crew and just put up with their BS, we still wouldn't be done. And it probably would have taken them to see 4 weeks. He would be just starting, I think he'd be just starting now, because when we hung it ourselves, it took us 3 or 4 days, I think. I think it was 4 days to finish up everything the other guys didn't do. We actually moved pretty quick, I thought. Maybe it was 4 or 5 days. Anyways, so that plus 3 weeks they've been here, the guy would just now be getting started on doing the drywall on the finishing. And so he would be another 2 weeks out. Well, by the time that happens, these guys will be done, and then we'll get a much better product.
Super excited, talking about paint colors and going on to the next step. So this should be done, gosh, here pretty soon. Excited to get going on the next part of it. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? No response. Nothing. No response.